All right, everyone, welcome back into another props video. Going to be touching on the top prop bets that we have available for both PrizePicks and an Underdog for this 3-game Christmas slate. First and foremost, though, guys, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. Hopefully, you guys had a good Christmas Eve and are having a good Christmas Day. I guess it depends on when you're watching this, but all in all, hopefully it's been a good holiday for you. So, starting with the first game, we got the Raiders versus the Chiefs, a 10.5-point spread, which to me, given the amount of injuries that the Chiefs have, I do think is fascinating. And given how well the Raiders have been playing as well, it's kind of fascinating to me. It is going to be a high-scoring projected game at 40.5. But yeah, looking at the injury report here, guys, the Chiefs are extremely banged up. Isaiah Pacheco expected back, but they lost Jerick McKinnon, and CH has been someone that has been playing pretty darn well. So I'm actually interested if he has earned himself some more snaps. Looking at the receivers, guys, they are very banged up. So Tony is out, McCole Hardman has been out, Sky Moore is on the IR. And so the expectation is going to be that probably MVS will get a little bit more work. Rice is probably not going to leave the field. Justin Watson probably going to get some more work, but they called up Ross. And he was someone this preseason that was getting a ton of hype. And sure, the little bit that we saw of him this year, he did look good. But yeah, I believe he had some off the field issues or something. I don't know exactly. I didn't look into that too much. Yeah. So interesting there. He is expected, I think, to be on the active roster for this one. And so, honestly, we might be getting some good prop bets for him because he's going to be forced into, some playing time. And they desperately need someone to step up besides Rice. And so, honestly, we could be seeing a Ross-Rice combo there. That could be a little bit fun, I guess. From there, wouldn't be surprised, though, to see maybe some like Richie James play a little bit more as well. He was also someone that's casually getting some hype during the preseason. But all in all, I think it's going to be Rice playing a lot more. It's going to be MVS playing a little bit more. And I'll show you guys his receptions on some of the sites is at 1.5. That's a good over bet there. But yeah, they're kind of tough. Maybe we actually just see a little bit more of Noah Gray. He's already been someone that's been playing about 50% of the snaps, so maybe he gets 55 or maybe we just see a little bit more of him. Wouldn't be surprising to see more 12 personnel. Looking at the Raiders, they are actually kind of a little bit banged up as well. So they lost their starting tight end, Michael Mayer. He's going to be out. And then really, Jasper Horsted, kind of a player that I like in terms of like a receiving talent, but we're not going to get any props for him. That'd be more of like a DFS play. From there, Josh Jacobs currently questionable. I'm expecting him to play. If he does sit, it'd be White in the start as we would expect, but then also Amir Abdullah is going to be the guy that does handle the passing down work for the most part. And so in a game script that's expected to be a 10-point spread, Amir Abdullah would most likely be the more appealing of the running back. All right, so we go ahead and get into the Chiefs. Looking at their props again, I do think there is a good opportunity for Noah Gray to have a good game, and also Justin Watson. And then, yeah, MVS for over receptions, I do think that that's going to be a good one. Let's just take a further peek at those ones because, again, they are pretty banged up at the receiver spot. They're going to need to see more snaps where they've been really spreading out the snaps. Basically, Rice getting more and more snaps, but now about 80% of the snaps. Watson has been hit or miss, like 70 to 50 to even 44% of the snaps. Same thing with MVS. Those two players are going to be expected to play more snaps, but again, I could see Noah Gray getting some more work as well. To me, that does make sense. And so Noah Gray for over his receiving yards, again, where you probably need a little bit more of an emphasis on him getting some playing time. I don't mind the over receiving yards. That does seem to be a little bit too thin. MVS is one that I don't hate. Again, this is more of a bet on him playing a little bit more. The issue with MVS is that he is not getting any design plays to him like Tony was getting, like Sky Moore a little bit, but like Rice has been getting, and also heck, Noah Gray a little bit, and Travis Kelce. No, the work that MVS is getting is literally by him winning his routes, which we know with MVS is not something that typically happens. Although he might be force fed 4 targets in this game, and if that happens, he should be able to get a few more receptions. Granted, it's a 10-point spread. They might not need to throw the football. And then from there, Justin Watson, probably the safest of the bets, guys, in terms of like his yardage total at 18.5. That does seem to be a little bit too low. If he's going to be playing, a little bit more snaps, again, that is what we are betting on. We are betting on him playing more snaps. 3 targets in that last game. Only one receptions, but for 31 yards. That is typically what we expect from Justin Watson, is that when he's on the field, he is getting some good air yard, okay? And he's been playing more and more recently. And so if that continues, again, with those receivers out, I don't mind the over 18.5 receiving yards. But I'm like going through this now, and I'm just thinking they're going to try to just rush the football a ton. They're going to try to make Aiden O'Connell beat them. And so we're probably looking at Isaiah Pacheco to get a healthy dosage of rushing attempts. And I'm just, right away, I actually kind of want to take a peek. Pacheco's rushing attempts on an Underdog, and I'm just looking at that right now, 15.5. I probably like that over. I think that's a pretty darn good bet. And this is annoying. Why are they doing this? Isaiah Pacheco to get 0.5 rush plus receiving touchdowns. Bet the higher there instead of doing the rushing touchdowns if you guys are doing that. It's frustrating when they do that. But yeah, 15.5 rush attempts. And so I don't think we're getting that for, we might, but I don't think we're getting that for, no, we are. Okay, PrizePicks is giving it to us. 50% chance for that one to hit. So all in all, that's probably going to be a better bet for you guys on a sportsbook, DraftKings, FanDuel. You can definitely make that there. Rice at 6.5 receptions. That seems crazy high to me personally. I don't think we want to be betting that. Pacheco receiving yards is okay, but yeah, I don't mind MVS 1.5 receptions. Again, I think the Pacheco rush attempts is one that does make sense. Let's go ahead and move on into the Raiders. And so looking at the Raiders PrizePicks wise, we're not getting that many prop bets for them. I'm going to go and take a peek at underdog, seeing if we're getting a little bit more. And we are getting. No, it's about though. It doesn't really matter. Will Aiden O'Connell rush the football is pretty much this. I don't want to bet that. Jacoby Myers receiving yards at 38.5. I'm okay betting the over there. Again, if this game's going to be as big of a spread as it is, that's going to mean the Raiders are going to have to throw the football a little bit more. So Jacoby Myers, it would make sense for him to have a good game. All in all, I don't hate that. All in all, I'm kind of fine with that. That's really the only bet that I would like for the Raiders. Again, Amir Abdullah should be someone that does get some work in the passing game, and maybe we'd be looking at him for over receiving yards if that's some sort of line that we get. That's a good. So let's go ahead and jump into the next game that we have here. It's going to be the Giants versus the Eagles. Probably an ugly game, right? At 13.5 for a spread, 40 for the over and under. Looking at the injury reports, yes, the Giants are banged up, but really they're also, in a weird way, health. Saquon's going to be active in this game. All their receivers are pretty much good to go. Darren Waller's back, and you know their pass catchers are going against the worst pass defense in the league, so you kind of expect maybe some production there. We'll get into that. Obviously, the Eagles, they're pretty banged up defensively. Offensively, they're going to be good to go. Now, after Tommy DeVito, it's so funny. Like, he really didn't have that great of a game against the Packers. I get it's like a primetime game, and like he rushed the football extremely well. That's evident. Don't get me wrong. He made one throw in that game, and like this is me as a Packers fan saying like they made DeVito look really good, but he really made one throw in that game. And this is me as someone that was casually hyping him up as someone that had looked well or had played well. He was someone that was casually hyping up as a good play in that game, DFS wise and whatnot. Okay, so it's weird. It's weird that game actually showed his flaws really as a quarterback rather than highlighted them. Like if you're watching it in that sense, like it's like, okay, we actually have a good sample size of who Tommy DeVito is as a quarterback. The fact that he really only made one really good throw, which was a touchdown, which actually was the game changer in that game, but kind of alarming. And so the point I'm making is that for him to have a bad game against the Saints, it wasn't shocking. Okay, like it was a bad game. If you guys watched, it was bad. That being said, he does get a good matchup against the Eagles. Now, the Eagles, I think they are going to put it to the Giants. It's just kind of one of those games in which the Eagles have been sucking lately, and it's just kind of a get right spot for them. And I kind of expect them to put the hammer down on the Giants. That being said, DeVito could still have a decent game throwing the football in garbage time and whatnot. So I'm actually very curious. So yeah, getting into the Giants, the one prop bet that I do think is going to be a good one is going to be Barkley for over his fantasy score. It is really the best one, the only one that's really popping up as a good prop bet, and that's because I do think he's going to be involved in the passing game. Now, it's not the best matchup via the ground. Like, we need him to have a good game in the passing game, and so in all, you probably would be better off maybe chasing some sort of receiving yards props for him or even receptions prop. That being said, like, we probably do want to go in on some sort of prop bet that we are getting for them in terms of passing with the receivers, like Wendell Robinson at 30.5, or even like Slayton. Again, given the matchup, it's just so difficult to trust anyone for the Giants. And so for me, I'm probably just staying away. I will say Jalen Hyatt at 18.5 receiving yards is one that probably should hit. Like just in this game, you know, he's going to get a couple of targets down the field. That is a bet that I don't love, but I don't hate it either. Like if I had to choose one for the Giants other than the Saquon Barkley prop, that'd be the one I would roll with. So let's go ahead and move on into the last game that we have here, guys. It is going to be the Ravens versus the Niners, potentially a Super Bowl preview. 6-point spread, which is kind of surprising. The Niners have been playing well, don't get me wrong. 46.5 is going to be the over and under, so a very high scoring game. Hopefully we have some stacking opportunities. Looking at the Ravens, they're pretty much good to go, minus Keaton Mitchell being out. That hurts, and obviously Mark Andrews being out. But in terms of what we have seen recently, it's going to be Gus Edwards, it's going to be Justice Hill, maybe even Melvin Gordon. We'll see. But Isaiah Likely has been playing well tight end wise for Mark Andrews replacement. And then looking at the Niners, Jawan Jennings is going to be out, which, you know, that probably does give some work to Ronnie Bell. And we have seen this before, guys. Ronnie Bell is perfectly capable of being the third receiver and having a good game. It's just been such a long time. Like at the start of the season, he was getting some work, kind of got lucky in a showdown slate against the Giants, apparently. But it wouldn't be surprising to see him be the receiver number 3 there. So we go ahead and take a peek at the props that we are getting. Brock Purdy, will he have 2.5 rush attempts? That's seemingly the best one. We are getting Debo at 4.5 receptions, guys, as one that's being pushed at 5 now. That is still a decent one. I do think there's a great chance for him to get the ball in short yards passing situations and be fine. But really, the prop bets that we're getting for the Niners currently are all correct. Like, it's a guessing game between will it be a Deebo Samuel or Brandon Ayuk game? They both could do well. Again, we have another good one with Christian McCaffrey for over 3.5 receiving yards. That being said, they have pushed it as they should. So all in all, they're probably all a little bit too thin. If you want to do Deebo Samuel for 11.5 rush yards over, that's okay. Like, we know he's going to get his rushing attempts, but all in all, that probably feels like we're forcing it a little bit. Let's go and take a peek at Baltimore. Again, a team to me that's going to be more difficult to trust. When we're looking at underdog, we are getting an interesting line for Gus Edwards. Yes, he's going to get a lot of work, but it's Gus Edwards if the game is close and if the Ravens are winning. If they're not, it's going to be Justice Hill. So very difficult to know really what to do there in that situation. This is pretty much telling us that the data likes him to score touchdowns. It's really up to you guys if you agree with that. From there, rush yards for Lamar Jackson, such a high total. I just don't feel the need to really bet on any of these prop bets that we are getting for the Ravens. Now, I do want to call it like Isaiah Likely 38.5 for receiving yards. It's kind of one that I like. This line here that we're getting for PrizePicks is being pulled in because the way I had the data pulled in, it's the first line that's associated with PrizePicks. And so I'll get into PrizePicks here. PrizePicks has been extremely annoying with it. Like they have Goblin and Demons in there. So like sometimes the Goblin and Demon line is being pulled in there. So when we're comparing it, we can just use this. So Isaiah Likely over receiving yards, I actually don't mind that one. You could just do fantasy score though. Like he's going to get his receptions, probably 3.5 receptions in this one. If he gets 38.5 receiving yards, good chance that he gets close to the over fantasy score. There's a little bit of touchdown equity baked in there, so might be a little bit too thin. And then, yeah, Gus Edwards fantasy score, maybe that's it. Lamar Jackson, we can see under 22.5 for a fantasy score is one of the better prop bets. Personally, I don't really love that. So, yeah, with Baltimore, probably a little bit too thin. And then for what's worth, guys, we are starting to get some fantasy score props. We're seeing Swift on underdog at 13 to be a good one. I actually don't mind that. That's actually a pretty good prop bet. That's saying that he's not going to score a touchdown. We're seeing some other ones there where tackles and assist props we are getting. George Kittle could do over fantasy score. Really, it seems like a tight slate for PrizePicks. I want to take a peek at underdog. And so there does seem to be a bigger edge on underdog. Like Dallas Goedert, I'm fine over fantasy score. That seems to be a good one. Gus Edwards over fantasy score, a decent one there as well. After that, it does start to get pretty thin. After that, I think we'd be better off doing a little bit more of game stacks. So literally bet of the day, these two over fantasy score. I'm okay with it. I don't know. I don't love Gus Edwards. I really don't. It's unfortunate. Honestly, what I'm going to do is I'm going to wait to play some of these bets. I'm not seeing any great EV bets. I do see some great stacking opportunities. Like I mentioned with KC and whatnot, like there is that route to go. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use the EV bets really throughout the day today and tomorrow for both underdog and PrizePicks. And what I'm going to do there is just, probably do 1 to 2 slip bets, maybe here and there, tossing in a good EV bet with a game stack. That's going to be my approach. So yes, guys, no bet of the day for that one just yet. Again, I just don't love the profits that we are kind of getting right now. It feels like we'd be forcing them. Thank you guys for watching. Please give a like and subscribe. If you guys want access to the 95sports.com PrizePicks and Underdog cheat sheet, it is available at 95sports.com for $10 a month. Thanks for watching. Merry Christmas. And as always, let's keep cashing.